Good morning. Well, the only thing missing is you. We have a beautiful group of people here creating the space, and we have your pictures, and my only regret is that we can't all be together. And so join me this Wednesday. That will give us some opportunity to have some closure, some celebration, and some connection. And I know we all have that need, is to share our appreciation and love for one another and what we have meant to one another. But remember that I'm just changing form. I'm not going away. I'm still going to be guiding and being with you and our beautiful staff here. On Sundays, you're going to see Reverend Margie and Reverend Johanna and Reverend Levitt a little more, and I'll be coming in on the morning meditation probably. So last Sunday was one of those Sundays that I shall not forget. It was Father's Day, but that morning, Larry and I had planned to do the talk together, and he wasn't feeling well. He had a few symptoms, but nothing that would indicate what was to happen later on. So Brother Thomas was scheduled to come get us, and his infinite wisdom as a doctor, he said, let's take him to the ER on our way to church, and then we'll make sure he's going to be good. Well, in that time period at the ER, they discovered that he had a tear in his aorta. And it was emergency, needing to do this now. And so the grace of God was Dr. Thomas was there to take him to ER. And then the surgeons, of course, the amazing wisdom and craft that they have to guide Larry through. He's doing well. He's doing well. He had open heart surgery, which is quite huge. So your prayers are so welcome and so appreciated. So many of you have been in prayer, and we're so grateful and blessed. But the truth is, this has just delayed us. It hasn't stopped us. And my beautiful husband, who is just filled with strength and courage, just keeps getting out of bed. Like, you can't keep a God man down, right? He just keeps wanting to move. He's asking how he could participate in this healing. He's not expecting others to do that for him. So I love him for that. So we had planned to leave tomorrow, and by the grace of God, we get to leave on the 12th. And so we'll be still going to Washington, just a little later than we thought. And so many blessings throughout this experience. So just wanted to update you on that. So he's expected to come home tomorrow, and maybe he'll come on the call with me on Wednesday. We'll see. So today we're talking about new beginnings. And in this new beginnings, we're going to also look at what aloha means, because today is Aloha Sunday. And we've heard it through the song. You've heard it through many, many Sundays, or that we've experienced that. And it's so much more than hello and goodbye. It's so much more than just, welcome. It is about who we are, how we are expressing in the world. It is the Hawaiian idea of love and peace and joy and compassion. It is the guideline of how to live our life. So you see, live aloha all over the place. And so aloha is living from that awareness that we are the expression of the divine. We are the expression of peace and love and compassion, and that's what we are here to do. And we are to do that through ohana, through family. And this is our family, our spiritual family. So I'm so grateful and blessed to be part of this ohana, and forevermore we will be connected. So that is a great joy of mine. So a new beginning. You know, you and I get a choice each and every day of how we will show up in the world. And I do work of a transitional minister. So I am constantly in my own transition throughout my life. I have a lot of endings and new beginnings, more than most. And isn't it, it's so ironic that I really don't like change. I would just prefer everything to stay the way it is, you know. So somehow Spirit nudged me into this work so that I could live this idea that I am evolving all of the time, whether I know it or not. But wouldn't it be good if I could make that conscious choice? Yes, it would, Denise. Absolutely. So you and I are always evolving into a greater expression of itself, the God self. And every day we awaken, we have a new beginning. So transitions are like this. You have an ending, something ends, then you have sort of a between void, and then you have a new beginning, right? So when I got here a year ago, we had you had an ending to whatever era that was. And then a new beginning. So now we're at another time where we're having a new beginning. We get to start again. So endings, we want to do them well. Yes? We want to do them well, and this one that we're doing together, we're really going to be conscious of how we end and how we proceed and how we love and how we let go. Part of an ending is gracefully letting go. Yeah. So all along we've been talking about me going and not holding on, right? So that doesn't mean we don't grieve a little. That doesn't mean we don't feel sadness. But we don't try to change what is. So when we're not trying to change what is, we don't suffer. We celebrate. We may be grieving in that celebration, but we are accepting those changes, accepting God's plan. So a new beginning starts as an experience. And it often can be sort of subtle, and we can detect when it's going to begin. And new beginnings take place really with an external circumstance. And our life begins to reflect an internal transformation that's already taken place. But first it happens internally. Yes? We are shifting and changing first internally. So if there is a transformation happening, you don't notice it externally for a while until my words, my actions, my behaviors begin to change. And so as we pray for guidance and trust God in these changes, we will experience a new beginning. Right at the exact time for us. That is the divine order we all know to be. And then when we could look back, we could say, God, that was so perfect. I could not have orchestrated that as well as you, God. But sometimes in the midst of that challenge or that change, we are resisting. And it is in the resistance in which we feel pain and suffering. So we have been through some amazing experiences together. We have done some transformative work together as a board, as leaders. We just finished our genogram activity with Dr. Gary, and that allowed us to go back and tell sort of the story and history, and also look at the unresolved issues and sort of our behaviors of what happened. There was a disruption in the field. That's the reality. It happens at a lot of organizations. But we, as a community, said we need to stop and take a look at these repetitive patterns that are happening within us and around us, that somehow we are participating in a co-creation of something we're not really wanting. So I'd like you to watch this video that Gary and I put together from the genogram activity, and then I'll come back and share some more. It's 10 minutes, so grab your drink, your popcorn, whatever you're needing, and then we'll come back together.
Hello, Unity Church of Hawaii. My name is Dr. Gary, and I'm coaching Reverend Denese and your leadership, your Board of Trustees. Recently, we conducted a genogram activity online, and I just want to give you some information with respect to the outcome of that event. We met Saturday afternoon on June 6th and also on Sunday afternoon on June 7th. Suffice to say that in your history, your rich history, you've had many experiences that have polarized your ministry and has created some conflict and difficulty in moving forward and evolving out of your uncomfortable past. So the genogram activity is like placing your organization through a Q process. It's helpful in identifying the shadow qualities that are active in your ministry, as well as who and what you've come here to be. And as we look at the stories that you have to tell about your experiences at Unity Church of Hawaii, we find that there are a number of issues and concerns that are a part of the church's legacy that any upcoming new minister will undoubtedly inherit if there isn't any process to integrate the past and actually move beyond the conditions of what has happened in previous years. So Saturday was an opportunity for us to look at what the church stands for, why it exists, what values each individual wants mirrored back to them. In the course of our time together, 37 of us, with a potential of over 120 different values, were able to come up with a short list of 15 or so values in which the entire group then voted upon and selected those that were most aligned with the group's sensibilities. And so here's an example of what that tally reflected. And basically the reason why we identify these values is to be able to see that when we have regrets or sorries with respect to the experiences that we've shared in together over the many years of Unity Church of Hawaii, when we have difficulty, it's likely because we have failed to live and embody our values. And it's important for us to see that whenever we fail to live up to what we stand for and why we exist, whenever we fall short, we'll create conditions and circumstances that are problematic. And so through a specific structured process, a structured storytelling process, we generated quite a bit of data with respect to what has happened over the last 20 years. And so as we identified the eras that we were going to discuss, individuals who were present during that era were the only ones that were permitted to speak, because this was not about telling people what happened. The genogram activity is not about separating truth from fiction, but it's about dealing with what people are carrying with them that is uncomfortable to continue to carry because it represents things that have happened. And the things that have happened haven't been pleasant. And people have been impacted by the conditions. Right now, in the minister-centric ministry practice, we come together in the context of who the minister is, and the well-being of the ministry rises and falls typically in that dynamic and your relationship with who the minister is. But when we place the context of coming together not with respect to who the minister is, but with respect to your capacity to fulfill your purpose, your mission, building your prouds and sorries around whether or not you were successful in transforming people's lives, and then in turn making a positive difference in the world. When you have stories of transformation, stories of making a difference, then you're shifting out of the culture that has as its core foundation the comings and goings of ministry leaders, spiritual leaders. When you shift into having your core foundation, the fulfillment of your purpose, then it's all up to you as to whether or not you are successful as opposed to being dependent upon somebody else. And so I want to share with you your shadow card and your cue card. And so first of all, let us look at your shadow qualities. And as for those of you who are present at the genogram activity, primarily the column that reflects your regrets are where we learn about what's active in your unconscious community self, or your pain body that is continue to perpetuate the legacy of dysfunction, distrust, not enough, grief, powerlessness, fear, and the other dynamics that are typically present in churches that have a challenging history. So your shadow qualities have to do with your unresolved issues, and so there's a great sense of not enough, a sense of distrust, grieving, blaming, powerlessness, and fearful. So the qualities that you're here to integrate as a part of your own pain body in terms of the collective, the community, is a sense of not enough, distrust, grieving, blaming, powerlessness, and fear. And now let's look at who you come here to be, the qualities of being that I have selected that have the capacity to pull you into a desired future that is evolving beyond your yesterday selves, beyond your conditioned past. And so this is who you've come here to be. You've come here to be loving, in integrity, unstoppable, spirit-led, empowered, in ownership, and transformational. So this is what I'm going to invite you to do every Sunday as a congregation, especially when you come back together, and use this script. Here it goes. Please have compassion for us when we are being not enough, distrusting, grieving, blaming, powerless, and fearful, because this is who we've come here to be. Loving, in integrity, unstoppable, spirit-led, empowered, in ownership, and transformational. So as you get into the practice of doing this every Sunday, you may wonder, what are new people going to think about this when they hear us do this without any kind of context or explanation? Well, you wouldn't want to just do this without any context or explanation. So you're going to have to explain why it is it's important and why it is that you're doing this practice, so that you can encourage others who have yet to enter into the cue process to also be inspired to do so. You need to explain that part of your struggle is to evolve out of your unhealthy past, just like every individual has that same struggle to deal with. And so as you're in the effort of identifying the values that you're here to express and the limiting beliefs that get into the way, you're also inspiring others to really understand the principle behind the transformational life, the transformational journey. And so we're asking you to cultivate self-awareness, the choice point of being who you've come here to be instead of who you're not, as well as taking authentic action, establishing new behaviors and ways of being that pull you into a different creative process. And so here's some parting words from Denese right now, and give us a sense of why this process has been so meaningful and important.
I'm just so grateful and so satisfied with where we are as a community, and particularly having had so many people go through the cue process, and now we have this beautiful community cue card, and it's such a excellent expression of who we've come here to be, but it's also showing us the shadow qualities of some expressions that have caused so much sadness and grief and kept us from really moving forward. So having that beautiful awareness is the first step of recognizing when it shows up again, and being willing to do our work and our cue cards, be coming together in community and offering compassion for ourselves and for others, and letting go of blaming, is so huge. So I see this gift that we've all given ourselves in this genogram as one where we're going to walk forward into a much brighter future of really getting who we've come here to be, and recognizing when we fall off our card and getting back on it more quickly. Because as the saying goes, it's not how often we forget, but how quickly we remember. So you have this card, you have each other, you have a process, you have a practice, you have holy sheets, as Reverend Margie talks about, and we're all going to walk together towards this new future for this ministry. And I'm excited and grateful for everyone's participation and where we are today. So beautiful. Somewhere over the rainbow. Isn't that the perfect song to have with this beautiful video? And I really am excited for us as we move forward. Really excited. And I love the values that we all came up with. You know, the number one value we have is loving, which is also, you know, a value of being in aloha. And it was one of the overwhelming values that we hold, along with being in integrity with who we've come here to be. The other values are spiritual growth and transformation, compassion, trust, and gratitude. These are who we want to be. This is how we want to express in community. So a group of us are getting together to define those so we'll know when we're an expression of those values. So we continue to do this beautiful work. And let's give thanks to those 37 people who came together for the weekend of the genogram activity to give their time and attention because they love this community, that they want to see it grow and they want to devote their energy to allowing it to prosper and to be that loving and glorious place they know it can be. So we want to be able to embrace our shadow self individually, but also collectively. And that's the beauty of this, and that is not to blame or beat ourselves up, but becoming aware of when we fall off our card. That when we're a sense of not enough, we'll remember, oh, that's right. That's one of our collective shadows. Whether we feel powerless, oh, that's right. That is our collective shadow. Or there's distrusting, or blaming, or fear. Because what we want to remember is we've come here to be loving. We've come here to be in integrity, unstoppable, Spirit-led, empowered, in ownership, and transformational. So transformation is part of our mission. We are here transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. So this month, we're starting a monthly talk on transformation. And so today, this beautiful being of light known as Valeron is going to share with you a transformative story. And every month we're going to have one of our members share how their life is transformed through these teachings so that we can measure how we are successful by fulfilling our mission. And we begin to move away from measuring our success, whether the minister is here or not, or does a good sermon, but we measure our success from, are we fulfilling our mission? So Anne, I got to meet her right away. She came on the board just before I arrived, and she came on the board when it was pretty difficult. And so she sort of ran into the fire, so to speak, to say, you know, I am here to support this ministry in growing. I want to sign up to be one of the leaders. So I'd like to invite this beautiful soul, Anne Valeron. Would you come up and share your story with us, Anne? Come on up.
Thank you, Reverend Denise. And good morning, everybody. It's such a blessing to share with you today. In 2017, I was platforming for Reverend Tim here at the church. I was really immersed in spiritual principles, so I wasn't watching much television. Then I hurt myself. I had knee surgery. I needed to stay home for a few weeks, and that turned into several months. I found myself beginning to watch TV, and I was distressed about what I was seeing in the news. I saw a new president that didn't align with my values. I saw the white supremacy rallies. I saw injustices happening, and it tore me apart. This made a huge impact on me, and I was shocked by what I saw, and I felt hopeless. And I found myself falling into a depression. The pain I was experiencing was unbearable, and I suppressed my feelings with addiction to food, alcohol, shopping, and the internet. I felt like I was in a downward spiral, and I didn't know how to get myself out. I felt like the prodigal's daughter eating slop with the pigs, and I needed to go back home. Over a year later, I finally found myself back here in church, and I felt God ministering to me. And I was reminded about why I decided to come here to Unity. I heard the good news that we're all born an original blessing. I heard the good news that there's only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, the infinite, living, loving presence of God. I heard the good news that God's presence, that Christ is alive within each one of us, no matter our sexual orientation, no matter our religious beliefs or the color of our skin. We're all beloved children of God. And through prayer and right thinking and divine inspired action, we are co-creators with God, and we can create heaven here on earth. A couple months later, I was devastated when Reverend Tim left, but also I was greatly encouraged by what I witnessed here at the church. There was a grassroots movement for change on the board in last year's membership meeting. Unity Worldwide Ministry sent Reverend Doug, Reverend Cynthia, and Gregory to help us with our transformation. The big game changer for me was when Reverend Denese arrived, and she emphasized the Q process and nonviolent communication classes. With those learnings, I empowered myself to be more compassionate with myself and with the world, to honor my feelings and my precious needs, and to honor other people's feelings and their precious needs. Now I have tools to have a private therapy session with God that brings healing into my own life. And with these processes, I feel the shift within my body. It's like I'm getting out of my own way and I'm in that divine flow, open to God's goodness. In compassionate communication classes, I've witnessed big aha moments within myself and with our classmates. And I've seen miracles happen as we experience shifts in our perceptions. I now have the tools to live in the Christ, and as I heal, I know others are being healed, and I know that vibration is going forth and impacting the world. I'm excited now that we have our own community Q card, as Reverend Denese just shared, because I have my own Q card, and I've benefited immensely from that. I now recognize my shadow self, and I'm spending less time in that place. I'm also living more into my Christ self. Those are my Q qualities. Several years ago, when I felt depressed and sad and discouraged, I was identifying from my shadow self. I was feeling inadequate, unsafe, fearful, not good enough, unworthy, and distrusting. Now that I'm aware and awake, I'm identifying with my Q card qualities as courageous, authentic, loving, compassionate, generous, faith-filled, and trusting. I am impassioned and empowered by the good work that we are doing here. I am on the board and I am part of the Justice for All ministry. Now centered in Christ, God is my hope of glory. Through prayer, right action, and divine thinking, I am making a positive difference in this world. And I am so grateful to be here on this journey with all of you. Thank you, God.
Mahalo, mahalo, beautiful. And so I wish I could hug. Yes, so beautiful. I love that you're having your own private therapy session with God. That's so perfect. And I've so appreciated all that you have brought. And Anna's one of those people, as many are, who shows up for everything. She just like, okay, bring it on. We're doing it. And I'm saying yes. And that's how we transform. So I'm so grateful to have been gifted this year with you. So grateful for all of you that have supported and been involved in everything we've brought to you. I have so much confidence and hope in our future together. So I join with our leadership as we move forward. I want to share with you a gift that I was given this weekend. We had a little retreat up at St. Anthony's. And this is a beautiful, beautiful Hawaiian koa wood bowl. I don't know if you could get that close to it. But I'm going to have it at a super sacred place when I get to my new home in Washington, as we're calling that forth. But I love bowls, and I love you. And you have seen me. And been my strength, my courage, and my will to keep moving forward when it felt hard and difficult. You have been with me every step of the way, and I am blessed beyond measure to have said, we have done this work together. So God bless you. I'll see you on the flip side. I'll see you Wednesday night. I'll see you in September when I return. There's so many places and opportunities. But I'm so grateful for this new beginning, for this ministry, and for Larry and I. Mahalo. Aloha.